That's your money saying it's time for a McDonald's run. Because with new McValue at McDonald's, you get more than you expect. Like buy a 6-piece McNuggets and add a McChicken for just $1. Your money says let's go. Get more than you expect with new McValue. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value.
And welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dr. Sky Experience, heard exclusively here on Talk Radio 77 WABC, as we like to call it, the crown jewel of radio, the iconic Talk Radio 77 WABC, beaming out of New York City, the nation, the world, and I'm sure deep into the cosmos. Sit back and relax as we continue to update you on your monthly sky events, things that you can see throughout the beautiful skies wherever you're listening to us. And this report is current for the early portion of May into mid-May 2023. Welcome to May. The most prolific object or iconic object that you'll see in the skies in May, in my opinion, is the gorgeous full flower moon that occurs during the early morning hours of May the 6th. And at that particular time, sky watchers around the world take note. There's an important meteor shower that takes place during the early morning hours of May the 6th and continues to a few days beyond that, and we'll have more to say about that. After this beautiful full moon, the moon continues to wane. Last quarter on the 12th of May, and then we return once again to the dark of the moon, the best time, in Dr. Sky's opinion, for you to observe some of the faint sky objects, and again, reminding you that if you're living within city lights, light pollution, of course, on the grand scale, this report also gives you some opportunity to see things, not just from the suburban locations. Once that moon reaches its new phase, start looking for it into the west-northwest on the evening hour of about the 20th of May. You'll see the thinnest and tiny little sliver, that is, of moonlight as the moon continues to wax. On the 23rd of May, the moon is near the beautiful planet Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, as we like to call it, which now, of course, is higher in our skies and exceptionally bright. And you know by now the reason Venus shines so bright is that indeed it's because of the great cloud cover, toxic clouds, but nonetheless beautiful from our vantage point on the Earth. The planet Venus is a hellish planet indeed, with temperatures well over 900 degrees Fahrenheit on a daily basis. Then we find out on the 24th of May, the moon is exceptionally close to now fading planet Mars in the sky, as this particular object moves well past, that is, Mars, the constellation of Gemini the Twins, moves into the constellation, the zodiac sign of what we call Cancer. The moon is at its farthest on the 26th of this month. You won't notice much of a difference, but remember, the difference between the size of a perigee moon and an apogee moon is pretty easy to see with the eye. You can tell the difference. First quarter moon, as we wrap up the particular month of May, occurs on the 27th, and a beautiful sight indeed. If you've ever had the opportunity to share with friends and neighbors, people say you can only see the moon at night. Not true, because when the moon reaches its first quarter phase, the moon will rise around local noon, and it will be in the sky, even with the sun. You'll have to look over toward the eastern part of the sky, and maybe into the northeast. That all depends on your location. For planets, again, we find out that Mercury is at its greatest elongation in the early morning sky on the 29th. Lucky sky watchers with clear skies will see the planet Mercury, the smallest of the major planets, as we look into the skies of the early dawn by the 29th of May into the southern part of the sky. Now, let's talk a little bit more about supermoons. We hear this, it's not really an astronomical term, but the term supermoon is really an astrological term. But in astronomy, they still list on the calendar what a supermoon is. So we'll give you a definition. A supermoon is when the moon's perigee coincides with its closest point that it is to the Earth during a calendar month. So what does that mean in Earth language? July the 3rd, the full buck moon becomes the full buck supermoon, an outstanding object to see, rising, of course, into the east just after sunset. The second of those supermoons of 2023 occurs on August the 1st, when we find out that it's the full sturgeon moon. And guess what? The month of August is long enough that we get a second full moon at the end of the month of August on the 31st. That, coincidentally, in some people's ideas, is known as a blue moon. That is the second full moon in the calendar month, but that definition is not absolute. So on the 31st of August, you can see the second full moon, a supermoon called a super blue moon. And then finally, in Dr. Sky's opinion, probably the most beautiful and romantic of all the moons of the entire year, yes, I picked one, September the 29th, as we find out, is the beautiful, full, super harvest moon. Now, the harvest moon has so much magic to it. So, folks, if you're waiting to see one of the most beautiful moons of the entire year that's full, my suggestion is to remind yourself that the moon is full, that is, closest to us, at 5:58 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September the 29th. So around that day or so, you will be able to see a spectacular moon. Don't forget, if you're looking for objects in the heavens like satellites, we recommend heavens-above.com. And while you're here at the Dr. Sky Experience on Talk Radio 77 WABC, you can always email me with your questions and comments. And that, of course, is simple. It's drsskyshow@gmail.com. And if you'd also like, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about so many of the other things that go on in the nighttime sky, we remind you that there's so many other objects and things to see in the sky. But I think right now it's a good opportunity to start preparing for 2 eclipses of the sun that are going to take place in the calendar year of 2023. And one of those, ladies and gentlemen, occurs on the afternoon of October the 14th, when we get to see an annular eclipse of the sun. And then we move on to the big total solar eclipse that will take place, don't forget, less than a year away, on April 8th, 2024. We're already here at the Dr. Sky team making preparations for this big event, and hope you are too. Always remember to keep your eyes to the skies, as I'm simply your navigator on the highway to the heavens. You can check our blog here at the Dr. Sky Experience. You'll find the link there by simply, going and navigating around the page. But for everybody else listening, don't forget, great content, great podcasts, and great presenters here at WABCRadio.com. As I mentioned before, always remember to keep your eyes to the skies. So many things happening in our skies. And I'm proud to be with owner John Katsimatidis every Sunday on the Cats Roundtable, and our bi-weekly event, an hour on the radio with the legend himself, Frank Morano, as we turn the other side of midnight for that 1 hour into the infinite side of midnight. With you and all of you around the nation and around the world, we wish you the best for health and happiness as we move through the beautiful month of May. I'm Dr. Sky, your navigator on the highway to the heavens. Leave us a comment or a question. We'll be happy to get back to you, and really do appreciate all your interest in the great realms of astronomy, space, aviation, and weather. And also, the Dr. Sky Experience talks about American exceptionalism, apart from a show that I did many years ago called A Call to Rights, on our Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and so many other things. As they say on the radio here on WABC, what do they stand for? Particularly on the Cats Roundtable, and that is Cats and Cosby. We stand for what? Truth, justice, and the American way. See you next week.